Hey guys, I'm just welcome back. It's we're about half an hour late starting the stream. Anyway, it's a sorry it is this late. Um, we had a little trip that I needed to take, and I'm back. And I'm just setting up some things because I've deleted some files, moved things around. So I guess the first thing I'll do is just fix that up. Got this image mask that I need to set up. So for now, let's Photoshop. Just got back from trip. This is like the new Dev Savara, all coding stuff. Coding. Like the tech is just too big of an industry, really. I mean, yeah. I mean, what can you say? It's like tech. Everything from Nvidia's and AI chips to gadgets and cars and it's all too much. So I just thought I'd talk about code and the stuff I'm coding. So the coding stuff at the moment, I'm working on projects CarPlay. It's like a Swift CarPlay stuff, and then we've got the artificial chemistry stuff, which I'll be diving into starting next week. So let's quickly set up this mask for the video. So width, height, 1000, 500, create a circle, and export it. All right. What is this? No, thank you. So Photoshop has come up with this thing. Started, what? Escape. Done. What? Right. Okay. Hello, anybody out there? Let's just switch this out while I'm working on this. I'm just gonna switch this over to. I'm gonna switch this over to desktop view. So let's jump into OBS and switch this over here, and let's switch to the dev scene. All right, so here we are. So I'm just, again, you'll see here, I'm just looking at Photoshop, and I want to just create a circular mask for OBS, so you don't see the whole square thing in the view. So just simple stuff, basics. Yeah. So what's been going on? Been traveling, and got back a couple of weeks ago. Had a bit of a break, and now it's like right back into it. So let's see in OBS, what is the select color? So we've got the color is white, select color, and the mask. So actually we want, so the mask is white. I think then if that's the case, we should just be able to save this as a PNG. Let's have a look. Desktop. All right, so let's see. We've got circle, mask, PNG. Okay, smallest file. Let's see if that works. Let's see. Yay, that works straight away. No worries. Okay, that's done. Can just change the size a little bit. Okay. Let's fix that up. And I will also jump onto Twitch, I think. So make sure I've got everything set up there. Channel. I think make sure it's, Yeah, okay, that's working also. I'm trying to create a dashboard. That's what I want. So I'm live, stream manager. That's it. Yep. All right, cool. I think we're all set. It's really quiet in Twitch. Again, back. It's been a long time since I've done this. Well, it's coding time today. So what are we coding? We're coding. Just coding. What are we coding? let's code some CarPlay stuff. So I've been trying to get this CarPlay stuff going. Just doing some refactoring. A lot of little bits and pieces just trying to get this paging working for grid view. So basically grid views in CarPlay, they don't support next and previous pages. So I've got these grid items that I'm setting up, and I'm just setting that up so we can have a dashboard where you can go to the next item. Can I find add next button? So this is where we were. We had previous next button, and I think initially they were like false. Do I actually need these anywhere else? I do. Yep, add next button, add previous button. So we want to also want to create some grid buttons. It's here, CP grid button. And a CP grid button is like in CarPlay, I guess CarPlay grid button. So this is very much like the UI kit style of doing things. I wanted to see if I could actually make an old school UI kit to say like CP UI, like CarPlay UI, Swift UI, to get the kind of thing like you get in Swift UI where you generate views, but it's not really happening. That wasn't. It was going to take way too long, and this client work stuff needs to get done quick. This project needs to get released soon. So, yeah, I mean, look, I think that the amount of time that would be invested for the return would be pretty low, and I don't see a reason for actually having to create like an entire Swift UI system for CarPlay. You know, someone might find it useful, but it is really niche. It's like the niche of niches. So it's like Swift UI. Swift is already a niche because not many people use it, like very few. But then you have like CarPlay, which is even smaller, like niche. And there's very few apps that support CarPlay. But if you have a good app that supports CarPlay well, it does really well. So anyway, let's jump right back into where we were. Okay. So from now on, I'll be doing these streams twice a week. Pi is great. It's like the entire Euclidean geometry is based off pi. Like, you know, you use it all the time when doing projection mapping. So, yeah, it's a very important number for triangles. You know, it's basically, yeah. I mean, I like math. I really do. But that's why the reasons I want to get into this artificial chemistry stuff for videos is just simply because I get to use math again. Yeah. And you know, working on IoT projects and working on the I had this React app that I was working on. I think I did a live stream working on that React app. I did last year. So working on a React game, you know, it was just kind of like, here's some code, put it together. It was more like Lego Duplo, whereas maths with this, it just feels a little bit more theoretical, like I'm digging into the deeper reality of the universe instead of just putting Duplo blocks together with web apps. You know, you kind of like have to go in and into an alternate higher level of reality to discover different ideas that you don't necessarily know intuitively by looking at something. You know, you kind of have to kind of look inside and think about things a little bit more. look inside your own, I guess, imagination, your own mind. So we have these false and true is first page. So I guess that's this one here is last page. Let is last page is first page. What am I talking about? Is first page equals page equals 0. So we've got that one. We've got that one. Do we need is first page grid buttons? Ah, it's a let. We need a var here. Grid buttons. We want to append, and then return grid buttons. So I think kind of convert. Ah, okay. It's the return type. Well, that's silly. Pi. Do. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. I'll move that over. Thanks. I will probably move a bit further to the right here then. And I could then, let's see if I can move the simulator. Move the simulator to, I'm gonna move this simulator because if we're working on CarPlay, we might as well move it up here. Let's give it a go. So now what I think, oh no, exact more bend grid buttons collection sequence of, I think it is collection sequence of. So the options collection contents of. So yeah, basically Swift code. I don't know if I actually, you know, I follow Primogeon, and I saw his video about Rust today, and it really kind of reaffirmed what I felt about Rust in the first place, is that it's a theoretical language that kind of can make sense, but in terms of, I guess I don't know, I feel like a similar, it's not as bad, Swift isn't as bad as Rust in terms of the, what would you call it? The complexity in doing simple things, I think, is, to do something simple is difficult and unintuitive, and it stops you, the language itself has a lot of roadblocks. It's similar to the way you, when I was writing the serializer, a binary data serializer in Swift, I've got like a library, I think it's, yeah, I've got a library that does a lot of stuff that helps just data serialize in binary data for types. And it was like fighting against the machine. It was really fighting against the language. Whereas in C and C++, like, it's just so easy typecasting, copying memory. You know, and it's a, you know, I think it's a learned skill too, to be careful with things when with C and C++. I really am interested in Zig and how it might resolve, you know, the issues around memory management. But at the end of the day, to be honest, with this artificial chemistry stuff that I'm going to be doing, I think I'm just going to stick with Python. It's just an easy, expressive language. My goal in the future is to create a language. Once I get through the book, there's another one about how to create your own languages. So I'm going to go through that and then take those ideas, put them together, and see if I can make a language for artificial chemistries. But that's a long way off. That's the future. So let's try that again. Let's run this and see if it works. Okay, so we have a list of items, previous. Okay, that's only 2 pages, however. We should absolutely have more pages. Why is it only showing 2 pages? It's -2, page 0. So if we have relay items range for page, and relay items range for here, let's go back. This will take us, this is fine, we don't need to get the range of items. So we've got all of these items that are in a list, in an array, and each page is a little different. So the first page has these 3 items at the top that aren't part of the devices list, and then we have the next list, which the next set of items, which has a previous and a next button. So so the calculation here that we want to get is what item do we start, right? So I think this is an issue because we need to take into account items on page, right? Items on page for, yeah, that's not right, right? So page 1 should be the number of home items. So these 3 are optional, so we need to home items on page. So the start item index, the index in the array, is if the page is greater or equal than 1, otherwise we return, I guess, 0 because we're starting at the start. Okay, no, so we don't, and then we need to know what the next set of items are. But items, we've got already items on this page. Okay, so let's see. Let's just starting item index will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Oh man, yeah. Look, Emil, absolutely. That's exactly my thinking with Swift. I mean, look, I was good with Swift 1, Swift 2, Swift 3, you know, going through the evolutions, Swift 4 even. It's like, with Swift 4, it was like the same thing, but the syntax changed, and it wasn't really, there wasn't really too much like added onto the language to add to the complexity. Then they went to the whole protocol-oriented programming. I'm like, okay, so we're going in this. This is what this language is for. We're going to work with protocols. This is how we build things. But obviously, there's so much old stuff you need to support with classes, and they still needed backward compatibility for Objective-C. So you couldn't just transition to what was it, to protocol-oriented programming by itself. You still had all the inheritance and all of that stuff that was added on. And the thing that where I think that Swift started to go wrong was when they started to do Swift UI, and then Swift UI features from Apple were language features that were added to Swift. And all of a sudden, like, you look at the team behind Swift, and it is like the Apple team, right? So they're going to add features of the language that they want for the things that they want to do. Even though they've open sourced it, a lot of the management of the language is still from Apple. And so I think the biggest mistake they made was try to do this hard forced concurrency stuff. And I can't build this project in Swift 6 for 2 reasons. One is the formatter r.swift breaks, and all this stuff is built on r.swift to access images, to access text strings. We're dependent on that. So 5.10. And then all of the concurrency stuff, right? So you got, like, concurrency I really like. I like the way that you can do tasks, and you have all that procedural stuff. There's no more like callbacks everywhere you have to try and follow. It's really simple. Like, I like that. I dove into it. I really wanted to understand how all of the async await stuff works. And it was just very simple. It's very much like what C# had a while back already. And so it was easy to digest. It was just the syntax I needed to understand. Then the actor model, which made sense. You know, obviously that's all this stuff is not new at all, but Swift, you know, introduced it to simplify the ability for us to make apps and to do things with apps. And then when they went to Swift 6, like, I don't know, it's just the macro stuff and all of these extra things. Like, for instance, if you look at the Swift UI view, I'll just jump into a Swift UI view right now. So let's go device main view, right? So we have the device main view. I can't run previews anymore, by the way. This is the struct. Yeah, an actor is basically a self-contained object. So basically, it's a class that is running on one thread. So that's an actor, if you want to call it. You got a class, and a class that is dedicated to one thread, and you cannot use it across threads. So It's thread safe. It's a thread safe class. That's the principle behind it. And it can take in information, but then how it deals with it, it is in itself in control of that. So you can't. You basically, the idea is you can't have thread. You don't have data races, right? So you've got read and writes that are controlled by messages, and those messages are passed into the actor, and the actor responds. So you're not actually writing to memory; you're giving it a message, and then it deals with that message. That's how I see it. But this is the one where you mentioned macros, right, Emil? You've got struct here, right? This was great. It's a struct. I can set this as a preview. This is a variable that returns. Just the compiler does its stuff. It used to work, right? It probably won't work now. But yeah, and then they went to this macro thing where they have, I think, hash preview now. Hash preview. I don't know where I can find a new view here. Tutorial account device details. All right, so what do we got here? We got alert. Struct toast view. Okay. Actually, I'm not sure where it is, to be honest. Let's see. Hashtag preview. Hash preview. Okay. Yeah, here we go. And then this is it. Oh, okay. We've got daughter going to bed. Might be able. She's not very happy. Okay, so I'll have to probably pause the stream for a second to deal with this. I'll be back, guys. Okay, I'm back, guys. Yep, all sorted. So now you got this hash preview, right? Oh, they fixed the previews. That's good. So yeah, so I've got hash preview, and I just can't control all the stuff that I wanted to before. All this stuff is like prepare device environment, and I can't do that. Yeah, so look, again, I'll mention that with regards to Swift and the stuff that I'm with Swift, the things that have been done with Swift 6, I just yeah, I don't see the benefit. It's, for me, there's a lot of extra syntax that doesn't add value. So it's like just fluff. And if it doesn't add value, what is the benefit? 99% of the app code is essentially single threaded. I have like one piece of code, and that's in like the global state, right? That handles all of multi-threading, and then like very few apps at the same time need to deal with it. Like this is all the global state multi-threaded stuff that I deal with. That's it. Everything else comes through this. You've got separate threads for Bluetooth. You've got separate threads for web stuff, web downloading, and that's it. Like I don't need 99% of the stuff that they have in Swift 6. And macros don't add value. And this is the thing, right? And I've said it in the video. Is why hide the code that you need to figure out? So I say I'm writing macros, and then I put the code somewhere in a big project. And somebody runs into an issue, but they can't debug the macro. They can't go in and step through the code. And all of a sudden, that's it. So it's a black box. So what can you say? I'm not a big fan. of Swift 6, and you know I've done JavaScript stuff recently. That was easy, and Python, and I actually don't mind Python, to be honest. So it's easy to use. All right, so next up, what do we got here? Okay, there's probably a few bugs to fix still. All right, so what was going on with this amount? Let's go back to where we were in the grid pageable stuff, home panel control. All right, so this is where we were trying to calculate the number of items on a page, or the range of items. Let's see. No, a singleton class is, yeah, so a singleton class is a class that exists, there's only one, right? In the entire project. So a singleton is like the one singleton class that you would have, like you would have use case, right? Use cases, and this is a singleton class, and the way that it defines it as a singleton class, I think actually this might not be. Domain is a singleton class. Okay, so domain is a single class, and here it is. We have, I mean, you have a private in. This should really be private if you want it to be singleton. So you have a private in it, so nothing external can initialize it, and then you have this shared object, right? So the only place that a domain can be created is here. The reason I don't have a private init is, I mean, we could have shared. We could have private init and have shared with dependencies, right? Static let share test shared, right? And that would be domain. Let's see, static func test shared dependencies, and then you could do that, right? And then do dot init dependencies. So this basically creates a shared object for in the test environment, right? And then you'd maybe put some control parameters around here to make it only for test. But to be honest, the test target for this is not working. I can't build it. I've had a look around. There's something wrong with the compile. It won't link. So I'm like, all right, that's all for tests. And I would have really appreciated some unit testing for this. Yeah, that's essentially it. So you got the shared object, and that returns just a one instance. There's no other instance that can be created in the whole project, right? So that's called a singleton. But an actor is different. You can create multiple instances of an actor, but they are all thread safe in their own thread. Now I don't know. Actors can be in their own separate instances of the same actor. I think can be on different threads, but the actor itself is thread safe. So here we have the start item index, and we have the items on page. It's 8. So that's, I think, which page are we on? Page 1? No, so that's wrong. Items on page for page 1 should be 7. Why is it saying 8? So it's 1 off. Yeah, so if it's items on page in here, where did I do the calculation? Ah, that's not right at all. So the items on the page, if it's the first page, minus 2. Else, yeah, minus 2, and this would be plus 1. Actually, I don't like this. Items on page, else if. There could be a better way to do this, but for now, just to get it working. So one of the things that I found on this, like when I start coding, I just do stuff that is really descriptive and really verbose. And then as I go along, I just little bit by little bit see things that can be refactored and make it easier to understand. Try to, remove duplication, try to remove like things that don't, like say if I've got a variable that's only used once, I might move it to where it needs to be. I'll split certain things up so that there are no functions. I mean, this is probably a function that's a little bit too long. Like, even though, I mean, I could probably split this up, move this out, so that add the add previous and next buttons into its own function, and I could probably do something here to optimize this function. Just, it's quite a bit. Like, even this is just quite a long function. So I think, I mean, yeah, we'll see. Do we need? Yeah, we don't need to do this here, right? Okay. Anyway, so like I said, like, we'll get it working first, and then what we do is then fix things up. Minus equals 2. So replace and run. Now, all of this stuff I wanted to write unit tests for, but the test target for this isn't just fails. It could be to do with the fact that there's just some libraries that just don't link. I don't get it. I spent a day on it. So, okay, what's next? All right, so we got this. Let's connect. Connect. And yeah, we'll jump to here. So this is page 0, I think. Page 0, yep. So this will give us this, and then we'll go next, and this will give us page 1. So, and the range, the start item index and items on page should be 7. 8, 6 minus 2. Yep, okay, that's perfect. That is what we want. And this should give us a start and item. Yeah, perfect. All right. I guess the question now is how do we go to next page? I think there's 5 pages. I have to make sure that I'm actually getting all of the. Let's go back. So let's see. So we have LR. We have a device LR 31D5 1 2 3. And then we should have the next one, 3. Oh, do I have LR6F5D? I think that might be the wrong one. So the start item should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I think that's probably, again, that's the issue there. The start item. If it's max items per page -1. If it's the start item index should be max items per page. Okay, so this one should actually be number of home items. Num IDCX items minus int. So basically what we're doing here is we've got a set of items that are optional on the first page, and then yeah, I usually do code spaghetti. Possibly good for a switch. Yeah. Default like 1, 2, 3. Give the two booleans as a switch. Yeah, I think it depends. Depends. -1. All right. And if we go into the call, and this one will be here now, IDCX items equals IDCX items. I could just call that same thing. Do 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 do. All right, so this is interesting. It's saying this session has been 39 minutes, but this session has been that's the average view duration. All right, okay, so we're gonna finish up in a little bit. It's kind of just getting warmed up with the streams. Okay, so we have 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this looks correct now. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and then we go to the next 0, 1, 2, 3, and we go to the next 0, 1, and this would be 2, 3, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. That's what I'd like to see. So I think we've got this previous next page stuff working like we want. This page will have to have the same implementation. I'm not sure how much of it I can reuse. But that's, you usually find out what you can reuse when you write it, after you write it. So my friends, Emil, good to see you. Thanks for coming along and watching the stream. I was just kind of warming up. I'm going to go grab some lunch. And then I'll get back to this, but I just wanted to try and warm up stream. Thank you again. It's good to see you. I will see you at the next stream next week. I'll try to make it more of a thing to do it more often. And for now, I will see you later. Gotcha. Bye. I'll try to also include some music like I normally do with these streams next time around. Missed out on that. Bye again.